Chapter 7. Shoes. Days transform into weeks, and spring gives way to the beginning of summer. The campus is now bathed in a golden light that extends until late in the evening, students taking advantage of the last hours of sunshine on the lawns between buildings. Eucalyptus trees and trumpet trees provide precious shade on the hottest days, while the ceiling fans in the classrooms struggle in vain against the persistent heat. During these weeks, my life with Pedro has taken on a rhythm that works surprisingly well. We study together in the library, me with my literary theory books spread out, him with his laptop programming something I don't completely understand, but that fascinates me to observe. Sometimes our fingers meet under the table, a gentle caress that interrupts my thoughts like a short circuit. Our gazes briefly cross, laden with promises for later, when we'll be alone. We spend nights together, alternating between heated debates about the influence of technology on literature and moments of intimacy that continue to surprise me with their intensity. He teaches me about programming languages, and I introduce him to obscure 19th century authors. It's an exchange that mutually enriches us, a flow of knowledge that frequently culminates in bodies intertwined in the tangled sheets of my bed. Last month, we took the step that, for me, has always signified seriousness: family introductions. I took Pedro to a Sunday lunch at my parents' house. I was nervous. My father, a university history professor, has a tendency to interrogate my suitors as if they were defending a thesis. My mother, a pedagogical coordinator, is more welcoming, but equally observant. To my surprise, Pedro won over both with an ease I hadn't expected. He chatted with my father about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, finding common ground between technology and humanities. With my mother, he discussed learning methodologies that combine traditional approaches with digital tools. At the end of lunch, she squeezed my hand under the table, her silent seal of approval. During dessert, while my parents finished serving coffee in the kitchen, Pedro and I escaped briefly to the backyard. There, protected by an old avocado tree, his lips found mine in a stolen kiss. The mere possibility of being discovered added an electricity to the moment that made my heart race. His fingers brushed my waist beneath my blouse, tracing light circles that left a trail of heat that persisted long after we separated, returning to the living room with complicit smiles. The following week, I met Pedro's mother, Beatriz, a pediatrician. The apartment where they live is cozy, filled with books and electronic devices that made me understand where Pedro's passion for technology comes from. His stepfather, an electrical engineer and technology enthusiast, has always been an inspiration to Pedro, but I only knew him through Beatriz's words as he was traveling for work. Beatriz received me warmly, always with hugs and embarrassing stories from Pedro's childhood, making him blush and me feel included in something precious. As we left her apartment, in the empty elevator that descended slowly, Pedro pulled me close, his body pressing mine against the mirrored wall. "You have no idea how much this means to me," he whispered against my neck, his lips tracing a path to my ear that made me tremble with anticipation. The mirror multiplied our image, creating a kaleidoscope of two intertwined bodies. When the elevator stopped, we were both breathless, adjusting clothes and hair, the tension between us almost palpable in the air. Things are going well, so well that it sometimes scares me. I've never believed in perfect relationships. I always expect the moment when the bubble bursts and reality imposes itself. Perhaps it's a defense learned after previous relationships that ended badly, or perhaps it's just the natural skepticism of a literature student trained to analyze narratives for their inevitable complications. And today, the complication arrives. I'm sitting at my desk, trying to focus on my dissertation, when my phone vibrates with a message from my father. I open it, expecting the usual reminder about Sunday lunch or some bibliographical reference that he thought might interest me. "Sophia, remember that scholarship you applied for at York? You got it. Comparative Literature graduate program at York University with a 50% scholarship. Your mother and I spent the night doing calculations, and we have the money to cover the rest. If all goes well, you'll travel in August. Call when you can to discuss the details. Dad. I read the message 3 times, trying to process. York University, a renowned international comparative literature program. The kind of opportunity that would completely change my academic career, opening doors to doctoral programs that previously seemed unattainable. August, less than 2 months from now. My first impulse is pure euphoria. I want to call my father immediately, thank him, ask all the details, start planning. But then, like a cold wave, comes the realization. Pedro. The memory of last night invades my thoughts, the delicious weight of his body on mine, the way his eyes darkened when I sighed his name, the slightly salty taste of his skin against my lips. How can I abandon something that makes my body sing like this, that awakens sensations I didn't know were possible? I leave the phone on the desk and lean back in the chair, feeling the weight of the decision I didn't know I would have to make so soon. We've spent the last few months building something that, to my surprise, has become too important to simply leave behind. But the hard, cold truth is that I always knew this moment would come. Since the first day at university, I've traced my path: graduation with honors, international exchange, master's, doctorate, academic career. I've always seen relationships as something peripheral to these objectives, pleasant, but not essential. Until Pedro, who entered my life like an unplanned variable in a carefully controlled experiment, who discovered paths to my pleasure that I didn't even know, who made me understand for the first time what poets really meant when they talked about passion. I breathe deeply and pick up the phone again. I type a quick response to my father. Amazing, Dad. I'll call you tonight to talk about it. Thank you. Next, I send a message to Pedro. Can we meet today? I need to talk to you. It's important. His response is almost immediate. Of course. I'm leaving the lab now. The usual place in half an hour. Perfect. The usual place is a bench near a lake in the city park. It was where we had our first real conversation, not about Star Wars or literature, but about our lives, our dreams, our fears. It's also where, on a particularly starry night last month, his fingers found their way beneath my skirt while we talked about infinity, bringing me to a silent climax while people walked just a few meters away, oblivious to the small universe of pleasure we had created on that bench. I arrive first and sit, watching the ducks glide across the mirrored surface of the lake. The campus is quieter now, with the semester coming to an end and students focused on their final exams and papers. The air is heavy with the humidity that precedes a summer storm, and the cicadas sing incessantly in the trees around. When I see Pedro approaching, my heart tightens. He smiles when he sees me, that smile that still makes my stomach flip and awakens a familiar warmth that spreads through my body. He's wearing a t-shirt with Yoda on it, a gift from me a month ago. Hi, he says, sitting beside me and giving me a soft kiss that, even in its brevity, awakens echoes of more intense nights. Everything okay? It seemed urgent. I breathe deeply, absorbing his familiar scent, that mixture of soap, aftershave, and something exclusively his that has become impregnated in my pillows. I received news today. Good or bad? He asks, his face already showing concern. Both, I think. I swallow hard, feeling a pressure in my chest. I got a spot in a graduate program at York University. 50% scholarship, and my parents have already resolved the rest of what's missing. His eyes widen, a mix of surprise and admiration. Sophia, that's incredible. York has one of the best comparative literature programs in the world, doesn't it? It's your dream, isn't it? I nod, feeling unexpected tears begin to form. It is, always has been. When does it start? His voice is calm, but I can see the tension in his shoulders, in the same rigidity he displays when he's restraining himself, trying to prolong our pleasure. August. Oh, the word is small but laden with meaning. That's soon. Yes, I look at the lake, unable to face his eyes. Pedro, I need to go. I know. His response is immediate, without hesitation. Of course you need to go. I turn to him, surprised by his certainty. You know. Sofia, from the first day we talked, you told me about your plans. Studying abroad, doing a doctorate, your academic career. I never hid that I admire that in you, your determination, your clarity of purpose. He takes my hand between his fingers tracing those small circles in my palm that have always served as a prelude to more intimate touches. That's who you are. The tears I was holding back begin to fall. But what happens to us? He is silent for a moment, his eyes staring at the horizon. We can make it work. It's not forever, right? There are video calls, messages. I can even visit you during holidays. I shake my head, feeling a tightness in my chest. Pedro, that's not fair to you. You're in the prime of your youth, starting your university life. You should be living all the experiences, not tied to a long-distance relationship with someone. I don't care about that, he says, an urgency in his voice. Sofia, what we have it's special, it's worth waiting for. And if it's not, the words come out before I can contain them. And if I get there and realize I want to stay longer, and if you meet someone here, Pedro, I don't want either of us to feel guilty for following our own path. I see the pain cross his face, like a cloud passing over the sun. You're breaking up with me. It's not a question. I'm being realistic, I respond, hating how cold it sounds. Can we keep things as they are until you leave? Enjoy the time we have, asks Pedro. Holding back from bursting into tears, I answer no. I'm too emotionally and physically involved with you, Pedro. I don't know if I'll be able to move on if we don't stop now. He rises abruptly, walking a few steps away before turning to me again. I can see that he's struggling to maintain his composure. His body is tense in the same way it gets in the moments when he tries to restrain himself, when he prolongs our pleasure to the limit of the bearable. All right, he says finally, let's do this. Pedro. A heavy silence falls between us. The sun begins to set on the horizon, casting orange tones over the lake. It's an almost absurdly beautiful scene for such a painful moment. I'm sorry, I say finally, my voice almost a whisper. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. He runs his hand through his hair, a gesture I've learned to recognize as a sign of frustration, the same movement he makes when I tease him in bed, when I deliberately delay his satisfaction. And I understand, I really do. You have to follow your path. He seems to be searching for the right words. I just thought that maybe I could be part of it. These words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I want to say that he can, that we'll find a way. But I know it would be cruel to offer hopes that I'm not sure I can fulfill. Maybe at another time, in other circumstances. I begin, but he shakes his head. Please, don't say that. We don't need this alternative story to console ourselves. He's right, of course. I've always appreciated his brutal honesty. I hope York is everything you've dreamed of, he says, and I can hear the sincerity behind the pain in his voice. You deserve it, Sofia. You deserve everything. Before I can respond, he leans in and softly kisses my forehead. A goodbye kiss. His warm breath against my skin sends one last wave of shivers through my body, a sensory memory that I know will accompany me for a long time. Then, without looking back, he begins to walk away. I remain seated on the bench, watching his silhouette gradually disappear in the growing distance between us. The tears flow freely now, but I make no motion to stop him. This is what I wanted, isn't it? Freedom to follow my path without ties. Then why does it feel like I'm losing something infinitely more valuable than what I'm gaining? The sun disappears completely on the horizon, leaving only a residual glow in the skies. In the gradual darkening, I face the truth I tried to ignore in the last few months. Some choices don't have perfect solutions. Some doors, once closed, cannot be reopened. I finally stand up, my limbs heavy with the weight of the decision made. As I walk back home, the park lights begin to turn on one by one, like distant stars appearing in the night sky. Each step takes my body away from the place where we were together, but phantom sensations persist. His warmth against my skin, the delicious weight of his body, the texture of his lips. Physical memories that seem more real than the present. York awaits me. The future I've always planned is within my reach. I should be feeling triumph, anticipation, excitement. Instead, I feel only the emptiness left by a computer science student with brown eyes who entered my life like a statistical anomaly and left leaving a space that no calculation could have predicted.